I'm going to demonstrate in Acorn how to take a headshot image and add a white border to it. The top and side borders will be 1/4 inch, and the bottom border will be 3/4 of an inch. The overall size of this print, that includes the image plus the borders, will be 8 by 10 inches. Here's an overview of the 4 things I'm going to do to accomplish this. First, I will create an 8 by 10 border layer, then open a photo and crop it to size. Next, I'll place the photo onto the border layer, and finally, type the client name and photographer credit in the border. So let's get started. First, we open up Acorn. We go to File, New, and open up a border layer. Now, our border layer, as I said, is going to be 8 inches by 10 inches. We are going to make sure the resolution is 300, and the border will be white. We'll click OK, and we will open up this screen so that I can see it a little better. We'll change the tool, and we will go to View, Show Rulers. I can pull out my rulers. I like to be able to measure things. And then I'm going to pull out my guides. So I will go up to the top, click and hold, and I'll drag down a guide for the top margin. And remember, the top margin is going to be 1/4 of an inch, so we're going to come in from 10 inches to 9.75 inches. We'll do the same thing with the bottom margin, and that's going to be 3/4 of an inch, or 0.75 inches. So we'll come up from the bottom. And then we will do the left border, which is 0.25 inches. And the same with the right border. We'll come in 0.25 inches from the 8 inches. So that'll make it 7.75 inches. So we've set up our guides showing the correct dimensions for our border. Now we'll bring in our photo. We're actually not going to bring in the photo just yet. We're going to open the photo and do some things to it. So we'll go to File, Open, and I have my photo here. Now, right off the bat, right out of the camera, it's too large, way too large. So I'm going to have to resize it. So I will go to Image, Resize Image, and we see that you see the size is really huge. We want to bring it down to approximately 8 by 10, since I have the aspect ratio locked in. When I change the width to 8, the height automatically adjusts to 12. So it's 8 by 12. But that's close enough for what we're going to do. We will eventually crop this. I want to make sure the resolution is 300. Click OK. And now we have our 8 by 12 image. Now, let's go to View, Show Rulers, pull the rulers out, because I'm going to need those. Excuse me. And now, once I get this set up next to the rulers, it's kind of hard for me to see, so I have to make this a very large image on the screen. Okay, now I'm going to go to Image, Crop. And I'm going to set up my crop tool here. I'm going to crop this image so that it fits exactly the guides that I set up earlier. So the top margin, we said it was 9.75 inches. So we're going to move this top side of the image or the photo to 9.25, and then we're going to move the bottom to 0.75. And then we will do the left side. We'll move it out to 0.25. That'll give us a 1/4 inch side margin. And on the right side, we're going to move it to 7.75, which will give us a 1/4 inch on the right side. Okay, we'll zoom out so that I can see what I'm working with. And we're going to adjust the crop just the way I like it. That looks about right. Okay, now we will make the crop permanent. And there it is. Now we have an image that will fit precisely within the guides on the border layer. Now we will select by pressing Command A and then copy, Command C. We will go over to the border layer, press Command V for paste, and there's our image. Change our tool so that we can push the image or the photo exactly between the margins or the borders, and there we have it. Now the only thing we have left to do is to type in the name of the client, which will go on the bottom, and the name of the photographer's credit, which will go eventually on the right margin. So let's go to our text tool, and I'm going to use Bodoni 72, but I'm going to change the size of the font to 150. You can use whatever size you want, but it should be, the client's name should be much larger than the photographer's credit. And we go over to the area where we want to type this, double click it, and we start typing the client's name. You'll notice that the J is right up against the margin of that text box, and it gets cut off. So with some fonts, you might have to put in an extra space right in front of that first letter, so that it doesn't get cut off when it's when it finally gets printed. So that looks pretty good. And we'll maneuver this into place right up against the edge of the photo. And we'll solidify that, and we'll go up to the top where we will type in the photographer's credit. I'm going to use the same font, but I'm going to change the size to 50. And I will change my text tool. And then I will type in photographed by J. White. Alrighty. Now I'm going to move what I just typed over close to where I want it. And then I'm going to maneuver this thing by first pressing the Command key and holding it, and then clicking on the text, and that allows me to swivel it into position. I want it vertical, so I might have to zoom in on this image so I can see what I'm doing. Sometimes it works better if you zoom in really close. Otherwise, you're going to have a tough time getting the thing precisely vertical, precisely at 90 degrees. So let's try it again. There we go. Okay, once that's set, then I can continue maneuvering the text down to where the last letter is flush with the edge of the photo. And you want it centered or somewhere close so that the bottoms and tops of the letters don't get cut off. If you need to change the size of the font, then so be it. And that's our headshot with our client name and photographer's credit.